I never imagined that standing in front of 200 people at the Grand Meridian Hotel in downtown Chicago would be the moment everything changed. My name is Miranda. I'm 62 years old, and for the past 18 years, I've worked as a senior marketing strategist at Luxford Cosmetics. That November evening, with the city lights twinkling through the floor-to-ceiling windows and champagne glasses clinking all around me, I thought I was finally getting the recognition I deserved. Instead, I got publicly humiliated by the man I'd helped build an empire. The ballroom was decorated beautifully. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting a warm golden glow over everything. Round tables draped in ivory linens surrounded a raised platform where our CEO, Richard Crane, stood at the podium. He was 48, impeccably dressed in a custom navy suit, his salt and pepper hair styled perfectly. Richard had founded Luxford 23 years ago with a small loan and big dreams. I joined when the company was still struggling, when we operated out of a cramped office above a dry cleaner on Michigan Avenue. "Ladies and gentlemen," Richard's voice boomed through the microphone, "tonight we celebrate the launch of our new luxury line, Éclat Noir. This collection represents everything Luxford stands for: innovation, elegance, and excellence." I sat at a table near the front with my colleagues. My heart was racing. I'd spent 14 months developing the marketing strategy for Éclat Noir. Every campaign concept, every tagline, every social media plan had come from countless late nights at my kitchen table, surrounded by product samples and mood boards. My daughter Jennifer had complained that I was working too hard, that I should slow down and enjoy my life. But this project meant everything to me. It was going to be my legacy. Richard continued his speech, acknowledging various team members. He thanked the product development team, the designers, the sales force. My hands gripped the edge of the table, waiting to hear my name. The room felt warm, almost stifling, despite the November chill outside. Through the windows, I could see snowflakes beginning to fall, dusting the Chicago skyline in white. "And of course," Richard said, pausing dramatically, "I must acknowledge our marketing department. They've worked tirelessly to bring this vision to life." This was it. I sat up straighter, smoothing down my burgundy dress, the nicest one I owned. Sarah Chen, our brilliant digital marketing director, has revolutionized how we connect with consumers. "Sarah, please stand up." Sarah, 34 and ambitious, stood and waved. The crowd applauded. My stomach tightened slightly, but I told myself there was still time. Marcus Rodriguez, our creative director, has given Éclat Noir its stunning visual identity. "Marcus, take a bow." More applause. Marcus stood, grinning widely. I forced myself to smile, to clap along with everyone else. The diamond bracelet on my wrist caught the light. My late husband Tom had given it to me on our 30th anniversary, 2 years before he passed. I touched it for comfort, the way I always did when I felt anxious. "These two have really been the driving force behind our marketing success," Richard said, his eyes scanning the room, but somehow never landing on me. "Their youth, their energy, their fresh perspectives have transformed how Luxford reaches our customers." The words hit me like a punch to the chest. Youth, energy, fresh perspectives. I'd given this company 18 years of my life. I'd been creating marketing campaigns when Sarah was still in middle school. I'd developed the strategy that tripled Luxford's revenue 5 years ago. I'd mentored half the people in this room. My colleague Patricia, 60 years old and the head of HR, reached under the table and squeezed my hand. She didn't say anything, but her expression told me she understood. Richard wrapped up his speech without mentioning me once. As everyone stood to mingle and network, I remained seated, feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach. The champagne I'd been drinking suddenly tasted sour. "Miranda, honey, don't let it get to you," Patricia whispered, leaning close. "He's an idiot." But I couldn't shake it off. Not this time. For years, I'd noticed the subtle dismissals, the way Richard always seemed to credit younger team members for ideas I'd originated. But this was different. This was public, deliberate erasure of my contribution to the biggest launch in company history. I excused myself and headed toward the restroom, needing a moment alone. The corridor was quieter, decorated with expensive artwork and lit by elegant sconces. I stood in front of the mirror in the ladies' room, studying my reflection. My auburn hair, which I kept shoulder length and professionally styled, framed a face that showed the wisdom of 6 decades, but also looked tired. The laugh lines around my hazel eyes seemed deeper tonight. When had I started looking so worn down? My phone buzzed in my clutch. A text from Jennifer. "How's the big launch party, Mom? Are they treating you like the superstar you are?" I couldn't bring myself to respond. Not yet. When I returned to the ballroom, the party was in full swing. I grabbed another glass of champagne from a passing waiter and found myself standing near a group that included Richard and several board members. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but the conversation was impossible to ignore. "The beauty industry is changing," Richard was saying, his voice carrying that confident tone he always used when he wanted to sound authoritative. "We need marketing professionals who understand social media, influencer culture, viral trends. The old guard just doesn't get it anymore." One of the board members, an older gentleman named Arthur Pemberton, nodded thoughtfully. "But surely experience counts for something, Richard. Your senior staff have valuable institutional knowledge." Richard laughed, a sound without warmth. "Experience? Sure, it has its place. Filing things correctly, maintaining databases, that sort of thing. But vision? Innovation? That requires a certain mindset that, frankly, people over 60 just don't have anymore. They're stuck in the past, thinking print ads and focus groups are still relevant." My cheeks burned. He was talking about me. He had to be. I was the only senior strategist over 60 in the marketing department. Arthur looked uncomfortable. "That seems a bit harsh, Richard. Miranda Thompson has been with you for nearly 2 decades. She's brilliant." "Miranda's a sweet lady," Richard said dismissively, swirling his drink. "She was helpful when we were a smaller operation. But Luxford is a major player now. We need cutting-edge thinking, not someone who still prints out emails and takes notes with a pen." I did print out important emails. I found it easier to review physical documents. And yes, I preferred taking notes by hand during creative sessions. But those were preferences, not limitations. I understood digital marketing as well as anyone. I'd taken courses, attended conferences, adapted to every new platform and trend. The Éclat Noir campaign I designed was built entirely around Instagram and TikTok influencers, for heaven's sake. Something inside me cracked. Not broke exactly, but transformed. The hurt and humiliation crystallized into something harder, sharper, determination. I left the party early, catching an Uber back to my townhouse in Lincoln Park. The ride through the snowy Chicago streets gave me time to think. The driver, a young woman named Keisha, tried to make small talk, but I was too lost in thought to engage properly. Inside my home, I poured myself a glass of red wine and sat in my favorite armchair, the one by the window overlooking the small garden Tom had planted years ago. Everything was covered in snow now, dormant, but waiting for spring. Maybe I was dormant too, waiting for something to wake me up. My phone rang. Jennifer. "Mom, you didn't answer my text. How was it?" I considered lying, putting on a brave face the way I'd done so many times before. But something stopped me. "He humiliated me, honey. In front of everyone." "What? What happened?" I told her everything. As I spoke, my voice grew steadier, stronger. Jennifer was furious. "Mom, you need to quit. Sue them. Something. You can't let him treat you like this." "I'm not going to quit," I said slowly, an idea forming in my mind. "I'm going to do something better." Over the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about what Richard had said. Not just the words, but the attitude behind them. He truly believed that age was a liability, that my years of experience were worthless compared to youth and whatever he thought that brought to the table. But here's what Richard didn't know. I had money, a lot of it. Tom had been a successful commercial real estate developer, and when he passed, he left me very well provided for. Between his life insurance, our investments, and the sale of his business, I had several $1,000,000 sitting in various accounts. I'd never needed to work for financial reasons. I worked because I loved it, because it gave me purpose after Tom died. I also had something else Richard didn't know about. I'd been collecting evidence for months. Not because I'd planned anything, but because I'm thorough. I keep records. Every email where Richard had taken credit for my ideas. Every meeting memo showing my strategic contributions that he later presented as his own. Every client testimonial praising work I'd done that he'd accepted accolades for. On Monday morning, I walked into Patricia's office and closed the door. "I need to know something confidential," I said, "and I need you to tell me as my friend, not as HR." Patricia studied me carefully. We'd known each other for 16 years, had supported each other through divorces, deaths, and difficult times. "What do you need? Is Luxford in financial trouble?" Her eyebrows rose. What makes you ask that? Just answer me, please. She sighed. Between us? Yes. The Éclat Noir launch cost 3 times what Richard budgeted. He's leveraged the company significantly. If this line doesn't perform exceptionally well in the first 2 quarters, we'll be in serious trouble. Some board members are already nervous. How nervous? Nervous enough that a few are quietly looking for exit strategies. Arthur Pemberton mentioned to me that he'd consider selling his shares if the right offer came along. I felt that spark of determination flare brighter. Thank you for trusting me. Miranda, what are you planning? I smiled. Something Richard will never see coming. That evening, I called my financial advisor, David Chen. Yes, Sarah's father, though she had no idea I knew him. David had managed Tom's investments and now handled mine. We met the next day at his office in the Loop, a sleek space with modern furniture and a view of Lake Michigan. Miranda, it's wonderful to see you, David said warmly. Though, I must admit, your call intrigued me. You mentioned a significant investment opportunity? I laid out my plan. David listened without interrupting, his expression growing more interested as I spoke. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. It's aggressive, he said, and risky. But if you're serious about this, I think it could work. The question is whether you're prepared for what comes next. I've never been more prepared for anything in my life, I told him. Over the next 6 weeks, David and I worked quietly. We reached out to Arthur Pemberton first. He was surprised to hear from me, but agreed to meet for coffee at a small cafe near his home in Evanston. It was a cold December morning, the kind where your breath makes clouds in the air. Miranda, I must say this is unexpected, Arthur said, warming his hands on his coffee cup. He was 73, distinguished, with kind eyes. When you said you wanted to discuss business, I assumed you meant marketing consulting. I want to buy your shares in Luxford Cosmetics, I said directly. I'm prepared to offer you 20% above current market value. Arthur nearly choked on his coffee. You want to buy my shares? But why? I'd prepared for this question. Because I believe in what Luxford can be, but not under Richard Crane's leadership. He's running the company into the ground with his ego and his prejudices. I want to change that. You're talking about a takeover. I'm talking about saving a company I've given 18 years of my life to. Arthur studied me for a long moment. Richard is going to fight you. Let him. It took 3 more meetings, but Arthur agreed. He owned 18% of Luxford. With his shares in my pocket, David and I approached 3 other board members who'd expressed concerns about Richard's management. By late January, I'd quietly acquired 42% of Luxford Cosmetics. The day I walked into the emergency board meeting I'd called, Richard's face was priceless. The conference room on the 23rd floor of our office building overlooked the Chicago River, frozen and gray under a cloudy winter sky. Richard sat at the head of the table, clearly confused about why I was there. Miranda, this is a board meeting, he said condescendingly. You're not a board member. Actually, Arthur said smoothly, Miranda is now our largest individual shareholder. She has every right to be here. Richard's face went pale, then red. What? That's impossible. I set my briefcase on the table and sat down. I'd chosen my outfit carefully. A sharp navy suit, Tom's bracelet, and a confidence I'd earned through decades of being underestimated. It's not only possible, Richard, it's done. I now control 42% of Luxford Cosmetics, and I'm here to propose new leadership. The next hour was intense. Richard tried everything. Disbelief, anger, accusations, appeals to loyalty. But the numbers didn't lie, and neither did the documentation I'd brought showing years of his mismanagement and misappropriation of credit. One board member, Linda Morrison, spoke up. Miranda, what exactly are you proposing? I'm proposing that Richard step down as CEO. In exchange, he'll receive a generous severance package and can remain on as a creative consultant if he wishes. But the operational control of this company needs new direction. And who would be CEO? Linda asked. Sarah Chen, I said. Richard's jaw dropped. She's brilliant, innovative, and genuinely understands modern marketing. Under my guidance and with proper acknowledgement of all team contributions, I believe she can lead Luxford into a new era. It took 2 more meetings and countless negotiations, but by mid-February, it was done. Richard Crane was out as CEO. He retained a small equity stake and a consulting position he'd never actually use, but the company was no longer his. The press release announcement was scheduled for a Friday afternoon. I'd invited Jennifer to be there, along with Patricia and a few other trusted colleagues. We gathered in the conference room, the same one where everything had changed weeks before. Sarah came in looking nervous. She'd been shocked when I approached her about the CEO position, even more shocked when I explained everything. "Miranda, I don't understand," she'd said. "After how my work was elevated over yours, why would you want me to lead?" "Because you're talented," I'd told her honestly. "What happened wasn't your fault. It was Richard's. And because I'm going to make sure that from now on, experience and innovation work together, not against each other." Now, standing in that conference room, I addressed the small group. "I want you all to know that this isn't about revenge. It never was. This is about building something better. A company where everyone's contributions are valued, regardless of their age, where experience enhances innovation and innovation respects experience." Patricia had tears in her eyes. "I can't believe you pulled this off." "I had good teachers," I said, thinking of Tom. "My husband always told me that the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's success." Jennifer hugged me tight. "Dad would be so proud of you." The press release went out at 3 o'clock. By 5, my phone was flooded with messages. Former colleagues, industry contacts, even a few journalists wanting interviews. But the message that meant the most came from an unexpected source, Marcus Rodriguez. "Miranda, I need to apologize. I should have said something at that launch party. I should have stood up for you. Your work on Éclat Noir was brilliant, and everyone who actually worked on the project knew it. I'm sorry it took this for me to find my courage." I texted back, "Thank you, Marcus. And for what it's worth, I'm not planning to make any major personnel changes. Good work should be rewarded, and you're good at what you do. Let's build something great together." That evening, Jennifer and I had dinner at my favorite Italian restaurant in Lincoln Park. Snow was falling again, blanketing the city in white. Through the window, I could see people hurrying by, bundled in coats and scarves, living their lives. "So what now, Mom?" Jennifer asked, raising her wine glass. "You're basically a cosmetics mogul. Are you going to start acting like one?" I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in months. "I'm going to do what I've always done, good work. But now I'm going to make sure other people, especially women my age, get credit for their good work too." "And Richard? Have you heard from him?" I shook my head. "Not directly. But I heard through the grapevine that he's telling people he was planning to step back anyway, that he's excited to pursue other ventures. Let him save face. I got what I wanted." Jennifer smiled. "You know what's crazy? He probably still doesn't understand what he lost. Not just the company, but the respect of everyone who watched you build it alongside him." She was right. Some people never learn. But I had learned something valuable, that being underestimated can be an advantage, that patience and preparation are powerful tools, and that it's never too late to stand up for yourself. Over the next few months, things changed at Luxford. Sarah implemented several of my strategic recommendations while bringing her own fresh ideas to the table. We created a mentorship program pairing senior staff with younger employees, ensuring knowledge transfer worked both ways. The Éclat Noir line, boosted by a revised marketing campaign that incorporated both digital innovation and classic relationship-building techniques, exceeded sales projections by 37%. In April, we held a company-wide meeting to celebrate our first quarter results. Standing at that same podium where Richard had once dismissed me, I looked out at faces both young and old, experienced and eager. 3 months ago, this company was at a crossroads, I began. We could have continued down a path that valued flash over substance, that confused youth with innovation and dismissed experience as obsolete. Instead, we chose a different path. We chose to value everyone's contributions. And look at what we've accomplished together. The applause was genuine, warm. Patricia caught my eye and winked. Sarah stood beside me, radiating confidence. Even Marcus looked emotional. After the meeting, I returned to my office, the one I'd had for 18 years but had never really decorated. I'd kept it functional, professional, never quite claiming it as my own. But that was going to change. I started planning how I'd redecorate, adding photos of Tom and Jennifer, artwork I loved, touches of personality I'd suppressed for too long. My phone rang. An unknown number. "Miranda Thompson," I answered. "Miranda, it's Richard. I hadn't expected this." "Hello, Richard. I wanted to call and say, he paused, and I could hear the difficulty in his voice. I wanted to say that I was wrong about a lot of things, especially about you. I could have been gracious. I could have accepted the apology easily, let him off the hook. But I'd spent too long making things comfortable for people who didn't deserve it. Richard, I appreciate you calling, but you weren't just wrong about me. You were wrong about age, about experience, about what makes someone valuable in business. And those beliefs cost you everything you built. I know, he said quietly. I see that now. Good, then maybe you've learned something. After we hung up, I sat at my desk, looking out at the Chicago skyline. The spring sun was breaking through the clouds, making the glass buildings sparkle. Somewhere out there, people were being underestimated, dismissed, told they were too old or too young or too something. But they had power they might not recognize yet. I thought about the launch party, standing invisible in that ballroom while Richard erased my contributions. I thought about the humiliation, the anger, the decision to fight back. And I thought about where I was now, not just surviving, but thriving. My daughter had asked what's next, and the truth was, I didn't know entirely. But I knew this. I was 62 years old, I owned a cosmetics company, and I was just getting started. The best part of my story wasn't behind me. It was happening right now, and the chapters ahead were mine to write. I opened my laptop and started drafting an email to the board. We had big plans for expansion, new markets to explore, innovative products to develop. And this time, everyone who contributed would get the credit they deserved. Outside my window, Chicago stretched out in all directions, full of possibility. I'd lived here my whole life, raised my daughter here, buried my husband here, built my career here. This city had taught me to be tough, to be resilient, to stand up when everything told me to sit down. Tom's bracelet caught the light as I typed. He'd believed in me when I sometimes didn't believe in myself. Now I was believing in myself, and it felt powerful. The mock had become the owner. The dismissed had become the decision maker. And Richard Crane's brand, the one he'd started and built and lorded over, it was mine now. Not through luck or inheritance, but through strategy, courage, and refusing to accept someone else's definition of my worth. That evening, as I locked my office and headed home through the spring twilight, I smiled, not because I'd won, though I had, but because I'd discovered something more valuable than victory. I discovered that the power to change your story is always within you. You just have to be brave enough to write the next chapter yourself. And mine, I knew, was going to be extraordinary.